Today, the Lumix camera settings you've all been waiting for. In that last video, I showed you my favorite little micro four thirds cameras and how I used the world's smallest interchangeable lens micro four thirds camera, this little GM1, to take this picture and 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 this video and this video and this video. And how I used the world's smallest micro four thirds interchangeable lens camera with a viewfinder and a hot shoe, the GM5, to take this picture and this video and this picture. And I also showed you how I used my favorite little GX850 to take this picture and this picture, this picture, and this picture, and this video, and this video, and this video, and this video. And of course, there's the ever popular G100, which I love, and the G7, which I love even more because it's so lightweight. It came out in 2015. That's over a decade ago. And look at the pictures you can take with this thing. You don't need the latest cameras to do amazing stuff. And right now, I'm actually filming myself with my favorite little GX880. This is my favorite vlogging camera. I'm using it right now, and this is the look you can get. So people are asking, what are my settings so I can get that look? Well, I'll share that with you in this video. But remember, the look of what you get is more than just your camera settings. It's the lighting more than anything else. That's what gives you the fantastic images you can get with your camera. But I'll give you my settings. Let's just get right to it. All right, for the GM1, the GM5, the GX850, 880, and the GF10, or any camera up to 2019, for this photo style, I use a standard picture profile, and I have contrast set to -2 and noise reduction set to -4. I have all these cameras set to that. You can do 4K, 30p, 100 megabytes per second, MP4. It will overheat faster. 1080 obviously makes it run a lot longer. AFC for focus mode. The metering mode is center weighted, and eye dynamic is high. This is my other important setting. These earlier cameras don't have as much dynamic range, so setting eye dynamic to high. Okay. Then here on the custom wrench, Zebra for the earlier cameras is set to 80. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll explain how I do that for exposure. Make sure constant preview is off. White balance is set to daylight. ISO is set to auto because I'm using aperture priority AFC focus. And for autofocus mode, I have face eye detection on. And this is kind of important for exposing. Even though it's set to aperture priority and it automatically adjusts the exposure compensation really makes a difference. These cameras tend to overexpose by at least 1/3, so I like to go in exposure compensation and go 3 clicks down. I know it says -1, but it's set into thirds, so it's 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I even go -1 1/3 or 1 2/3, depending on what the grayscale is doing with the zebras. I'll get to that in a minute. All right, for the G7, we have a photo style option of using Cine D, which I like to use. It's a more high dynamic profile. I like to use that. I don't change any of these settings here. You have to use MP4 for 4K. I have eye dynamic on low because the Cine D is already taking care of the dynamic range. I have luminance level 0 to 255. I always have peaking on just to make sure. And the Zebra on the G7 is set to 95, which is different than the other ones. The GM1, the GM5, the GX880 and 850 and GF10. Those are 80. The G7 is 95, especially when using Cine D. All right, on the G100, the photo style does have the option of Cine D. If I was to use that, I was using it at -2 contrast, -5 noise reduction. But lately, I've been back to using standard, the -2, -4, just like the other ones. Back to this again. I kind of like it. It's a matter of taste, but that's what I'm back to using now. Yeah, luminance level is 0 to 255. I got a center dot metering mode. The eye dynamic is standard because it has more dynamic range than earlier cameras. Zebra pattern on the G100 is 80, just like the earlier cameras, the GM1, GM5, GX850, 880. I'll get to the zebra pattern in a minute and how I use that. This camera tends to run a little cool, so I have the white balance set to 5800, which warms it up a bit. AFC and face eye detection on. The G100 I find is best at -2 clicks. So it's from 0, it's 1, 2. That's one empty notch before you hit -1. So -2 clicks on the G100. I use aperture priority for video and more manual stuff for picture taking. And on the G7, it's the same, -2 clicks. Now right now I'm using a G100. This is a newer camera and has more dynamic range, so you don't need to have the eye dynamic set to high. You can set it to low, standard, or auto. Right now it's set to standard, and it looks pretty darn good. This is still the smallest of the new cameras that you can get that has a viewfinder, a flip-out screen, and all the bells and whistles. I love this camera for vlogging, and it looks great, as you can tell. The thing I like the most about it is that it recognizes a face, and it automatically adjusts the exposure for the face, not for the overall picture or the background. It automatically adjusts the exposure for your face. No matter what you're doing, your face is always perfectly exposed. And I love that about this camera. I don't even have to worry or think about it. For example, check this out. I'm overexposed, right? No, I'm just going to stand here for a second and the camera's going to recognize my face and it's just going to adjust accordingly. Look at that. Just a few seconds and I didn't do anything. The camera did it all. How amazing is that? So, yeah, and by the way, I'm using the little 12 to 32 kit lens. It's a tiny little plastic cheap thing that everybody makes fun of. And look how great it looks. Just like the camera, it's a tiny little cheap plastic thing that everybody makes fun of. The more people make fun of something, the more I want to use it. Because I know it's not about the camera. It's about the lighting and the entertainment in front of the camera. I don't like to shoot raw because I like to get it right in the camera right away. So the most important setting for cameras like this is the exposure. And it's real easy to do when you do this. Most important piece of photography equipment that I have is the DKC Pro 5x7 calibration card. I'll put a link down below. I have one in every camera bag. All you have to concern yourself with is that one square, the white square right here in the top left-hand corner. That's all you got to concern yourself with. So you put this where your face is going to be or wherever your subject matter is going to be. And now I just adjust the camera exposure until the white square has zebras blinking on it, but only in the white square and nothing else. In my case, when using aperture priority, I clicked a little plus minus symbol on the back, instantly accessible on these Lumix cameras. And then you just click to the left or the right until that one white square is blinking and you're done. It literally takes seconds. This thing is so great. This is the most valuable piece of photography equipment I have. The only thing you have to do is make sure the zebras are set to the correct percentage for each camera type, and I gave you those settings. You can do this with any camera. I do this with my Sonys too, and I nail the exposure every single time. You know, for everyday street shooting, I obviously don't use card, but I found that having these early Panasonic cameras set to -1 or 2 clicks exposure compensation seems to work pretty well. Because I like to work really fast, I keep everything set to aperture priority with auto ISO. All I do is make sure the white balance is set correctly. It's either set to sunlight when I'm outdoors or I do a custom white balance when I'm indoors. It's real easy. Click the WB on the wheel. That's what I love about these Lumix cameras. They've already got the white balance button ready to go. Go to custom white balance. Aim at something white. I like to use crumpled white paper. Click OK and bam, perfect white balance and I'm ready to go. If I'm outdoors, it's aperture priority and I like to use a 3x ND filter. And if I'm indoors, I switch to shutter priority or manual because these cameras do not have stabilization. So to get nice sharp images, you need a faster shutter speed. And obviously if I'm shooting video on a tripod, this isn't necessary. I can still use aperture priority. And that's it. Once you have your settings set, you can just grab the camera at any time and just start shooting. All I really check is the white balance. I don't want to get too complicated with these little cameras because the whole point of these cameras is to just have fun with them. You know, these are not pro cameras. These are have fun cameras, and that's exactly what I do with them. And I even make YouTube videos with them, as I'm doing right now with the GX880/GF10 over right there. Looks just like this. I love these cameras. Hope I inspire you to have fun in life. Okay, well, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.